Is James Krause the most evil man in MMA? Is Anthony Smith an alien? We're going to go into some ideas here, and I'm going to let my intelligent viewers make up their own minds. I know you're smart enough, but after the whole James Krause thing it happened, and it's still happening, you know, I kind of want to go into this fight after some of this news came out about James Krause. Because this fight, and a lot of people will remember this, Smith versus Texera. This was a very awesome fight. I want to go in a little bit because it's posted on YouTube here, and I just rewatched it, in some spare time. And after hearing some of this news come out about James Krause, I truly think that a couple things could have happened in this fight. One of them, I think that Anthony Smith could be an alien. I think it's a possibility. I truly do think that he may be an alien. Another thing is, I think James Krause is a really big piece of junk. Anthony Smith, you can see in this first round, he was doing pretty well. Got a groin shot here, took about 10 minutes off, seemed like. And, he's pretty aloof, he's pretty fast on his feet, but this whole time, James Krause was yelling, and the announcers even commented on this multiple times because you know how DC gets, and Joe Rogan and even Anik can get like this. They get on a topic and they just got to prove themselves right. Everyone knows this, especially DC. If he says something, he's going to say a million things to confirm what he just said and prove what's going on. So James Krause was in the coach's corner, and this is really interesting because he was yelling like a madman this whole fight. They were saying the words they used were wall to wall. James Krause was yelling wall to wall. Now, I guess that means he's yelling as much as he possibly can. Right, we're going to skip forward a bit here. I just wanted to show, Smith is pretty aloof in this first round. He's doing pretty well. Just notice his body language. He's a pretty decent fighter. He's a long, skinny alien guy. I don't know if he is of this world. Anyhow, that's just my 2 cents. But I'm gonna, look at that face. He looks, he could be an alien. That's all I'm gonna say. We move on a bit. But James Krause, he was yelling like a madman, and all the commentators were making comments. Why is James Krause yelling so much? James Krause is gonna wear out his fighter. He's yelling at him so much, and it was at the Apex, which a lot of you will probably remember. This event was at the Apex, so you could hear James Krause. He was yelling. Like, I'm not gonna say the announcer was wrong. They just kept saying it a million times. He's yelling like a madman. He's yelling like a madman at his fighter, James Krause is. And it literally was. It sounded like he was at the horse race or cheering on a horse. It literally sounded like he was. It was wall to wall. It was a good way of explaining it, but it was the whole fight. He was yelling. You can see him over here. He's yelling. It's like he's watching a horse race. Now, why? He's a coach, like, yeah, of course you want your guy to win, and of course you're going to yell, but he's yelling like his horse is in a race and he might have some money on him or something. Did his friends and family all bet on him? Or did James know exactly what he was doing, and was he doing as DC was implying? Was he yelling so much, in fact, that possibly he was trying to make his fighter tired? See, there's a whole nother layer now that we know that James Krause is kind of a confirmed this shady character who does, things behind the scenes with betting on his fighters and whatnot. There could be multiple layers to what's going on here. Excuse me. There could be multiple layers to what's going on with alien Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith, You know, he's a good guy. He's a company man. He's just gonna do whatever James Krause says. James Krause is the Earthling and knows about earthly man fighting. So Anthony Smith is just gonna let the Earthling do what it will tell him how to fight. You know, makes sense to me. Makes sense to a lot of people. You know, makes sense to everyone. Makes sense to everyone. You know, we move on. Yeah, and Glover's style here this whole match has been kind of to absorb, get in the pocket and absorb a little bit of Anthony Smith's, alien swings on his long arms. Don't really hit that hard. And he's been absorbing those and kind of working. We're going to move back just a bit here to illustrate. Okay, Anthony lands a couple times, Anthony lands a couple times, and this is the combo right here. Changed the fight, real important. Two just out of the park swings from Glover. Move on just a bit. And this is the combo right here. This changed the fight. That punch right there, that changed the fight right there. Watch it one more time. After this landed, then he lost the fight from there on forward. He was at a different tempo. This whole combo, really. This whole combo, Alien Smith was done after that. You even land some more. After that landed right there, we move forward a bit. Just want to illustrate, now he's not throwing as hard. He looks a lot softer out there. He's just not looking as good. That right there, the towel could theoretically be thrown in right now. He's not, there's no intensity. It could be thrown in right now. He's hurting though. He needs to get like a boost of energy. And James Krause this whole time, you have to remember, James Krause this whole time, he's literally yelling like he has a horse down at the race, like, punch him, block that shot. He was saying the dumbest thing. You can see, look, you can see back here. His whole team is yelling. Like his whole team is betting on him. Or maybe they're all betting on Glover. Maybe they are trying to tire out their fighter. We move on. Look how tired he looks. In the third round, he gets really tired. I remember DC was saying, why do they have him in there? He's so tired, Are they going to throw in the towel? I remember DC, I believe it was the end of the second round right here. Oh, he looks so tired. I wonder if they're going to throw in the towel. DC is going to start saying that or stuff like that, given his, end of fight prediction already. Anyhow, and Glover's just doing some karate on him right there. That was cool. We move on a bit. You know, we're going to move on to the third round here. Look at Smith's body language. He's so tired. And yet again, James Krause is yelling like he has a horse at the race. Oh, block that. Dodge the shots. Doing whatever. Come on. DC said that this should have been called, or was implying heavily that this should have been called between the rounds. He said that the coaches should have even thrown in the towel. Why would you put your fighter in unnecessary danger? Just getting whooped on. He literally said his teeth were falling out of his face. Why would you not throw in the towel as a coach? He looked so deranged and bad. Glover landed really heavy that second round. This could have been. I'm not. I can't even show this. This is sad. This is teeth falling out of Smith's head. Glover's just beating the crap out of him like he owes him lunch money. This is just sad. The coaches could have thrown the whole time. James Krause, block that, do this, just going crazy in the corner, and who knows why? Maybe he's a degenerate gambler. Maybe he's a degenerate gambler loser who has money one way or another on this fight. That makes sense to. Now, I will say, of course, innocent until proven guilty, as always, But this is just a really interesting case. Now that we know what's going on with his whole career of, you know, gambling on the side of his UFC coaching, there's layers to this at this point. We're not even going to show anymore. This is just gets bad. It's just bad. It's not fun to watch. And yeah, I how does it even end? Does it go into the fourth round? I think it even went into the fourth round. It did go into the fourth round. I remember it was. I went back and I reviewed here, and Smith literally said, "My teeth are falling out of my head," to James Krause between rounds. That's what his fighter said, James Krause. And Krause sends him back in there. We're going to move on because Glover's just wrestling him a bit here. But his fighter literally said, "My alien," he didn't say that. He said, "My teeth are falling out of my head." And James Krause, while screaming the whole time, like, look, he's down in bottom position here, and I guarantee that his corner was yelling, and you can see him back there, just taking a whooping. Look at his team; they're all screaming, all yelling, you know, the whole time. You know, my teeth are falling out my head between rounds, is what his fighter said to him right there, and he sends him back into fight. When do you fall? When do you throw in the towel? When do we have to call into account what's really going on behind the scenes with James Krause? I guess that's what they did in the end, isn't it? Interesting. A lot of people know how this fight ends already, but for those that don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's just Glover beating the absolute hell out of him until he's basically standing unconscious right there. At some point, James Krause should have thrown in the towel, I believe. Especially when his fighter said, and DC even believed that, and the commentators believed that too. Like, this was brutal. Between rounds, they shouldn't have sent him back out there. But nope, James Krause is over here like a deranged dog. His whole team's yelling at him. His whole team's yelling at him again, like they all have money on him. Like watching their horse down at the race. There's no reason to even watch any more of that. Just to wrap things up here, this isn't an accusation or anything. James Krause is only a suspect, degenerate gambler who may or may not, he's accused of possibly fixing fights. Anthony Smith is a suspect alien, innocent until proven guilty for both parties, of course. But I hope that some of these facts and some of these things that happened that I laid out during this video, and a lot of people will remember this fight and will remember James Krause yelling like a degenerate gambler the whole time. And he's supposed to be a coach. A lot of people will remember that because they were in the Apex, and DC was talking about it the whole time. A lot of people will remember that. I know you'll remember that. You know. And if you didn't hear that, you should go back and you should watch this video because this adds a whole new layer to the James Krause degenerate onion. He's a stinky, degenerate onion. And it sounds like he cheated and, his fighter, Anthony, might have took unnecessary damage because of James Krause's degenerate gambling addiction. Think about that one. So James Krause's addiction, alleged addiction, might have allegedly led to an alien getting knocked all the way back to his homeland when he could have just been knocked halfway. Alleged alien. Bless you. Take care. Have a good night.